YouTube, it's Retro Gaming Langer's back for another video. Today's video is actually a VR to Retro Red Steve, because I don't think he's had any VRs recently. It's been quite quiet on the internet. So I thought on YouTube, so I thought I'd do, so he did a very, very good video last week, I think it was, on favourite box art for video games. So I thought I'd do a VR to Retro Red Steve, purely for the fact that it hit a nerve on various reasons, because part of the reason I collect video games is to play them, but actually looking at the box art brings back nostalgia, and it's part of, for me, the hobby. I definitely want to display my games a lot better. Not that I've got anybody to show them to, it's just going to be the wife and me and the dog and the kids. But yeah, for me, it's part of the hobby, is looking at box art and reminiscing about times gone by, etc. And it's nice to look at that box art, isn't it? It's a bit like, dare I say, a record. You pick up a record because you like to hear the artist, the music, but also, you know, I'm trying to give you an example now. Dare I say, every time I look at Nirvana's Nevermind album with the baby on the front, it takes me back to when I was at secondary school, teenager, listening to punk rock and stuff like that. So I think it's the same for games, you know, possibly for films, but for me it's for games. And so it hit a nail on the head. And obviously, you know, it's an interesting time whereby, with Sony's recent announcement with the PlayStation 5 doing away with physical media, that side of things is going to be lost, isn't it? You could, you know, I mean, you could argue that emulation, you know, you can have box art there in the background, but I don't think it's quite the same, is it? And I'm not knocking emulation, I use emulation myself, but it's not quite the same as physically holding the box, the cartridge, with the art itself. So anyway, I'm rambling on, so I'm going to break it down into different sections. And I think we'll start with my very first console, which was the Sega Game Gear. So I've picked up a couple of games that really I feel are my favourite box art, and we'll start with, obviously, it's going to be that one again. This pops up all the time, because for me it's such an iconic box art with the ninja there. I think it's great. I think you can see that on camera there. But yeah, I love that box art. For me, it's an iconic box art. People get confused that they think that this is the same as the Master System game, and it isn't. It's a totally different game. And yeah, you know, obviously we didn't have the internet back then when these games came out, so it wasn't a case of looking at reviews, it was a case of looking at magazines and talking to your mates. But yeah, anyway, I'm rambling on. That is one of my favourite box arts there. For me, that's iconic, beautiful, definitely takes me back to the early 90s. So that's that one, and you can include that one. I don't think it is quite as good, box art wise, sort of different vibrant colours, very sort of, dare I say, Mega Drive-y looking. But for me, it'll always be that one is my favourite, but I thought I'd just include the two. There's a bit of a common theme here, because when I started picking up the boxes, I was thinking, hang on a minute, but maybe it was just me in the 90s. But that's another iconic one, Ninja Gaiden, how you pronounce it. Again, we've got the dragon in the back, so it's dragons, ninjas. Just the beautiful box art there that we don't see on modern gaming, do we, really? So that's those. So there for the Game Gear. The last one for the Game Gear I had to mention, purely for the fact, it's probably people look at that and think, because it's in the either part holder, isn't it? Box art. But I like the Japanese style of, they made the games a lot smaller in the boxes. I know it's not talking about the art, that's about the size. But I love the style of writing that we've got there. We've got obviously Pac-Man with his hat on. Yeah, I think that's quite iconic, really. So they are for the Game Gear. Right, for the Master System, check out the Turtles top, by the way. I don't know if I've got that on camera or not. I can't see. There we go. Turtles top. Moving on. Such a div. Master System. So what I like about the way Sega did their sort of marketing and artwork is, if you take the Shinobi game, I don't know if you can see, obviously the sort of art style of Sega Game Gear. Obviously they carried it from the Master System with the lines, and I love that. So there's an arty thing there, where we've got this sort of, I don't know what you would call it. I'm not an artist. Some people might disagree with that. But yeah, can you see the lines, etc., and the way that it's drawn out? We've got that carried from the original Sega Master System, which I love. Very sort of 90s, shall we say? Yeah, I'm trying to think what it reminds me of. Definitely sort of late 80s, 90s, sort of, yeah, techno, whatever you would call it. I don't know. There must be a name for it. I'm sure there is. Decor, whatever it is called. So let's start with Wonder Boy. I've got quite a few here for Master System. Now, there's a reason for that. So that one for me is iconic. Remember looking at that, seeing that in Woolworths and magazines, and yeah, very iconic. I don't have it for the Game Gear. I need to get that for the Game Gear. Excuse me. I've got it loose, but effectively it's the same. And I'm on a bit of a Game Gear thing at the moment, which you'll see on my pickups video in August. But yeah, iconic. I love the cartoon art style they've gone for there. Yeah, beautiful. Obviously it's a fantastic game, but you know, I still remember seeing this in gaming shops in the sort of early 90s, cruising through them, having a look, and this one always caught my eye. So that's that one. We couldn't not mention Golvelius, Valley of Doom. A fantastic game. Dare I say it's like a Zelda game, but we're not here to talk about the game. We're talking about the artwork, and look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Probably one of my favourite Master System box arts of all time. Again, we've obviously got the generic Sega stuff, but that is fantastic. Very, dare I say, Dungeons and Dragons, Golden Axe type looking art style. Totally different to what the game is. Very cutesy, anime-y. I suppose you could call it that. Beautiful music in this game. Anyway, the box art, beautiful. They did a fantastic job on that. Then you go from that to this. Oh, hello. Oh no, it's coming apart. This, I suppose it's 30 years old. The bottom of the box is coming apart, look, on the edge. I have to glue that back. From that. Now, the reason why I mention that is one of the very first, My Hero arcade port, one of the very first games I played on my Sega Game Gear back in the 90s with a Master System converter. And it's just very basic, isn't it? We've got a fist coming out of this punk, getting hit. Doesn't say a lot about the game. Very basic, but I love that. I love that art. For me, again, it's built in with the nostalgia of it. And yeah, for me, it's very simple but effective. And you can say the same for Alex the Kid in Miracle World. Very, very basic. Some would say it's dull, but I love the fact that they went for this simplistic look on the Master System for some of their games. Not all of the games, but some of their games, they went for this very straightforward, totally opposite of what the Nintendo Entertainment System went with. But then, yeah, I love those. So those two are very different to the two I've just recently shown you. And then we've got to finish off with Cloudmaster. I do love the Cloudmaster box art as well. So that's Master System. There we go. Right, moving on to Sega Mega Drive. Right, on to Mega Drive. So I've got three here. Again, there's a theme going. The Revenge of Shinobi. That is, for me, an iconic Mega Drive game. Very simplistic in its way. Again, we've got that theme of the Sega logo with the sort of lines going through it. but we've got the calligraphy or box art type thing going on there, and that is beautiful. I love that. Like I say, I'd have a poster in that every day of the week. Fantastic. So that's that one. And then we've got probably, again, one of the most iconic box arts for the Mega Drive. When you compare that to, dare I say, Final Fight, pains me to say this, the PAL version of Final Fight, the PAL version of Final Fight looks absolutely boring, doesn't it? Whereas if you take the Japanese box art, I'll try and put some pictures here of the box art of the Japanese Final Fight game. Very, very similar in the fact we've got a street brawl going on, but I love the way the artist has gone in terms of showing a lot of things going on in that picture. And again, made a great poster, didn't it? For that various reason, we've got a lot going on there. The colour they've gone for, it was very, very cool, very, very hitting to the eye, and I love that. For me, that is definitely a poster right there that you should frame and look at every day. And again, it reminds me, takes me back to when I first played the game, looking at that box art. And then we're left with, I couldn't miss it, Outrun. Interesting one, really, because I love the way in which the art style's gone in that sort of, again, that cartoony thing. I love the little details of Outrun written on the number plate. Sega instead of Testarossa would be there, wouldn't it? We're missing the Ferrari logo, obviously, which is interesting. And we've got a Beetle there, and then we've got a Porsche there, which, again, I'd have thought that should have been a Lamborghini Countach or something like that, but maybe it's licensing. You could argue the Japanese version, and well, there's no argument. Some of the Japanese box art is far superior to the PAL stuff we got. Probably take, for example, Shadow Dancer. I love the art style of Shadow Dancer on the Mega Drive, but there's no argument. The Japanese version is far, far better. But yeah, so I love the way in which they've gone with the art style on Outrun. So that's those for the Mega Drive. Honourable mentions: Strider is iconic. Golden Axe is an iconic one. I don't own Golden Axe at the moment. I'd like to get that game, but Golden Axe is another iconic game where you've got the box art there. Beautiful. You know, you've got that sort of Kogan the Barbarian type, Arnold Schwarzenegger style. But yeah, fantastic. So they are, the Sega stuff's done. Let's get on to Nintendo. Right, moving on to Nintendo. Nintendo Game Boy we'll start off with. I don't know why I'm doing it in this order. I've just chosen to do this order. This I've spoken about many times on the channel. And do you know what? This is not synonymous with Game Boy. This was just, I was obsessed with. I've said this many times on the channel. I think my age, mid-40s, growing up in the 80s and having sort of a lot of martial art, watching a lot of martial art films, Bruce Lee, Chuck Norris, Van Damme, watching Arnold Schwarzenegger, Rambo, etc. And I think, yeah, it was a wonderful time back then where there was obviously, you could have violence in video games and in films, and appreciate, I think definitely a lot of people my age grew up with that. But I was obsessed with this. Yeah, definitely obsessed with this. Seeing the posters in magazines, borrowing a mate's magazine or something like that, and seeing it in a video game magazine. There is a film of this, I think. I've not watched it, but I've heard it's a bit pants. But yeah, just look at it. Isn't that wonderful? Again, beautiful artwork. You've got the dragon there, through the double dragon. We've got the fight scene there. Iconic again. Beautiful poster that would make. So that's that. So it's not just Game Boy. That's just a generic. Definitely, whatever. If it was on the NES, etc. The box art for the Super Nintendo one isn't as good, I don't think. But that for me is iconic and deserves to be mentioned. Funny enough, we mentioned this recently on the channel for the A to Z of Gaming, for the letter S. Again, for me, that is a beautiful box art of Super Mario Land. I love it. It's iconic. It brings me back to nostalgia. It's beautifully done. Beautiful colours in there. And I loved the fact that the Game Boy logo down the side here. But again, if you look at some of the Japanese box art, I think, yeah, if I can put a picture of the Japanese version of this, because this is the interesting bit, how it was not generic. it is an interesting thing. But yeah, one of my favourite Game Boy box arts there for sure. And then obviously again we've got, funny enough, we've got more Ninja. Jackie Chan. Yeah. Shadow Warrior, brilliant game this, but I'm not going to talk about the game. I love the colour they went for, all nice and black with the, what I quite like is the lettering on this. I love this sort of lettering, stands out. We've got obviously an Inferno in the background there, very sort of, I love the colours they've used. It's just beautiful. I could look at that all day long. But yeah, fantastic, really, really good art decor type box art to that. Let's say I've got GCSEU in art, so I'm no artist. This one I love because it's just very cool. Great game again, but I just love the fact that they've sort of given you a hint of what's going on in the game, but they're using this cool tomato to draw you in with the shades. So a little bit of marketing going on there. Very much the 80s of eating your vegetables, wasn't it? He's got his trainers on. Fantastic. Yeah, I love that. And then last but not least, again, we've got a bit of 80s action, 18 Rambo going on there. Fortified Zone. Yeah, beautiful. I love that. I just love the way it's been drawn. Even it's down to the little detail of the barbed wire around Fortified Zone. I don't know if you can see that on camera. Try and get in there and focus. But you've got barbed wire there. Yeah, it's beautifully drawn, beautiful graphics. Again, I love the just the art style they've gone for there. So that's that. Let's move on to NES. Right, another one I didn't mention for Game Boy. When I was putting the Game Boy games back, I realised I picked up this one. And they're probably saying, well, that's not really box art, but for me it is. I love the fact they went for this gold with this sort of crest of Zelda going on. Very, very simplistic, but, you know, it told you you're in for a good time. Yeah, I love that. I love that they've kept it nice and simple. Again, very similar to the Master System box art of those early games, as I mentioned previous in the video. And they went for the sort of generic thing for doing Links to the Past like this. Yeah, so they kept it the same. And I love that. I love the fact they've kept it nice and simple. They've used some bright red colours there for Zelda. And gone for this gold themed box, which it really stands out. And I was, again, funny enough, I was obsessed with it as a kid. Like, what's going on there? What's this all about? You know, so it definitely drew you to the box. Moving on to the only NES game I decided to pick out. And again, it had to be Castlevania. This gets mentioned quite a bit, but I love the fact they've gone for this Kogan the Barbarian type looking figure with Dracula in the background there. They've gone for this beautiful, bold art style of graphics for the lettering, which I think is beautiful, the way in which they've done that. And on the back as well, look. Yeah, and I love it. I love the sort of the pastel sort of green down here. I think that's fantastic. Again, that is a iconic poster that you'd have up in your gaming room every day of the week. Yeah, for me, it's one of my favourite NES box arts. Not that I've got many NES games, but yeah, that is definitely my favourite. So that's NES. Let's move on to Super Nintendo. Right, before we move on to Super Nintendo, just thought I'd point out this. I was putting Link's Awakening back. Look at that. What a contrast. Obviously, I love that, but a totally different way in which box art was done back then. I love the fact that they are hinting to the island, etc. I think it's very good, but I just thought I'd point out the contrast in the games. Should have maybe gone for something very similar to that. I don't know. Right, Super Nintendo. So what I've got is two Super Nintendo games, or three here, but they're the same franchise. So we've got Street Fighter 2 and Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Both, for me, that is iconic. Obviously, I love the game. There's no question about it. If anybody's new to the channel, by the way, I love Street Fighter 2. But I love the fact that what they've done there. For me, it's the art. In fact, you've got Ryu falling down there. You've got Blanca coming through. Chun-Li just about to do a kick, a famous kick. You've got the lettering they've used there, the colouring, etc. Personally, for me, again, like Streets of Rage, iconic, great poster. In fact, I think there was a poster of it, wasn't there? There's some variations, I'll put them up here, of sort of like the art styles, etc. But the beautiful art that was used in it is fantastic, you know. I mean, look at that. That's absolutely gorgeous.
Oh my god!
Similar goes with this one here. We've only got 2 on it. I don't think it is as good. If I only choose between the 2, it'd have to be that one. But I thought I'd mention that one as well, because obviously you've got 2 different fighters, warriors on there. And then obviously we couldn't not mention this beautiful artwork here, like so. In fact, I've just thought of another game actually. I'll go and grab it now, but that is iconic, beautiful, and you know, yeah, for me it's beautiful. I think the Japanese version's better, so I'll put the Japanese version if I remind myself to stick it up there. So that's for the Super Nintendo. Right, for Super Famicom we've got these 2, which I think that's beautiful. So this is the Japanese version of Operation Logic Bomb. Far better box art to the PAL version and the States version that we got, I think. But look at that, isn't that gorgeous? Yeah, all the colours they've used there. I love the sort of water effect, whatever you call it, on that. So that was that one. And then probably the most, for me, one of my favourite box arts of all time is that, okay, which is Castlevania Dracula X. I just love the fact in which they've gone for the font. That's the word I've been looking for all morning. The font on the Japanese writing there, the sort of art style they've gone for, I think is beautiful. I prefer that over the Castlevania 4. And then you've got on the back, you can see that again, the art style they've gone for the characters. There is, I don't know if you can get that all out on camera, but yeah, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. That is a poster in itself, isn't it? And dare I say, far better than the PAL version that we got. The PAL version was a purple colour. It was a lovely colour, the box, but that is far superior, in my opinion. I'm not saying, you know, it's just my opinion, isn't it? So that is Super Famicom. Got a couple more to show you, and then we will round up. And last but not least, we have got Game Boy Advance. So I've got, again, another Castlevania game. I love Castlevania box art. You know, it was torn between this and Harmony, of whatever it's called. I can't remember, I've forgotten the name now. But yeah, I love that. I love that. There's a poster in here of that, and that is, you know, again, it's something you hang on your wall straight away. Isn't that gorgeous? So there's that one. And then we have got, I mean, again, I forgot the Game Boy. I just realised at the end of this, I've forgotten the Game Boy, the Metroid 2, that I've got that in the poster, the Game Boy game of that game as a poster in my living room, which the wife absolutely loves. But that is, again, I love the, for me, there's a bit of He-Man going on there. I can't describe it. That sort of He-Man art style, for anyone remembers the little magazines you've got of He-Man back in the 80s. You've got a figure and then you've got a comic in the back of it. You've got that sort of art style decor. Again, I love the bold lettering they've gone for there. Samus there, giving it full on. But yeah, so all of the Metroid box art is pretty good. So there we go. I've done that. I might do a part 2 to this. I might do a part 2 because this is going on a bit. I might do a bit more modern. I might do PS2 onwards, maybe. I don't know. We'll pick out some modern stuff. But yeah, for now, I hope you enjoyed that. My nominations are... I'm joking. But yeah, like I say, appreciate Steve doing the video, and really enjoyed his. Tassos has done one. He did one his yesterday. It's just I just thought I'd do a VR to this because I do love box art. It's part of the hobby. I love the artwork on the boxes. So yeah, hope you enjoyed that. I'll see you on the next video. Take care, guys.